Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayana Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Virye Nashtaprayesha Bhadresha Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttam Shloke Bhaktiru Bhavati Naistiki. So continuing with the discussion of Srila Prabhupada Lilamrita, Volume 1, A Lifetime in Preparation, Chapter 4, we'll start today. How shall I serve you? So yesterday we discussed how Prabhupada's father passed away. and he was now completely lonely. His family is there with him, but father passed away. The mother had passed away earlier. I have every hope that you can turn yourself into a very good English preacher if you serve the mission to inculcate the novel impression of Lord Chaitanya's teachings to the people in general, as well as philosophers and religionists. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati in a letter to Srila Prabhupada in December 1936. In October of 1932, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati led a group of hundreds of disciples and pilgrims on a month-long parikrama, or circumambulation, of the sacred places of Vrindavan. Vrindavan residents and visitors perform parikrama by following the old dry bed of the Yamuna river and circumambulating the Vrindavan area, stopping at the places where Krishna performed his pastimes when he roamed in Vrindavan 5,000 years ago. Abhay had wanted to attend Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati's parikrama, but could not because of his work. Nevertheless, on the 20th day of the pilgrimage, he travelled from Allahabad, intent on seeing Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati again and hoping to join the parikrama party at Kosi, just outside Vrindavan, at least for a day. The parikrama Srila Bhaktisiddhanta had organized was one of the biggest ever seen in Vrindavan. By engaging so many people, he was using the parikrama as a method of mass preaching. Even as early as 1918, when he had first begun his missionary work, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta's specific contribution had been his emphasis on preaching. Prior to this advent, the Vaishnavas had generally avoided populated places and they had performed their worship in holy, secluded places like Vrindavan. Even when they had traveled to preach, they would maintain the simple mode of the impoverished mendicant. The Goswami followers during Lord Chaitanya's time had lived in Vrindavan underneath trees, one night under one tree, the next night under another. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, whose aim was in preaching worldwide, knew that the renunciation of the Goswamis was not possible for Westerners. Therefore, he wanted to introduce the idea that devotees could even live in a big palatial temple. He had accepted a large donation from a wealthy Vaishnava merchant and in 1930 had constructed a large marble temple in the Bagh Bazaar section of Calcutta. In the same year, he had moved along with many followers from his small rented quarters at Ultadanga to the impressive new headquarters. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta was demonstrating that although a devotee should not spend a cent for his own sense gratification, he could spend millions of rupees for the service of Krishna. While previously Vaishnavas would not have had anything to do with the merchandised contrivances introduced by the British, mechanized contrivances, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta, on the authority of scriptures, was demonstrating a higher understanding. It was Rupa Goswami, the great disciple of Lord Chaitanya, who had written, "One is perfectly detached from all materialistic worldly entanglement, not when one gives up everything, but when one employs everything for the service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is understood to be perfect renunciation in yoga." But there is a catch here. So one is perfectly detached from all materialistic worldly entanglement, not when one gives up everything, but when one employs everything for the service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. So shloka is Nirvandha Krishna Sambandhe Yukta Vairagya Muchyate. Means engaging everything in the service of Krishna. Even worldly opulence, whether it is opulent cars or buildings or phones or laptops or whatever. But the catch is, are we really engaging them in the service of Krishna, or accumulating all these things with the pretense that yes, I will engage them, but in the process, I'm getting more attached to all these things, and because worldly opulences, Krishna can give plenty. What's the big deal for him? But am I getting entangled? Am I getting attached? Can I live without all these things? Can I still preach? Can I still practice my sadhana, my bhakti without these? If I don't have these? If Krishna takes away all these? Am I gonna get disturbed? That we have to see. I mean, I can cheat the whole world, but I cannot cheat Krishna. No doubt what Rupa Goswami is saying is correct, perfectly correct. But his level of realization is different than mine. His consciousness is completely different. He himself, they both, not just Rupa Goswami, all the 6 Goswamis, as Prabhupada said, they would live under different tree every night. And why they were living, staying under different tree? Because they didn't even want to get attached to the tree under which they were living. And here he is saying, we use everything in service of Krishna. That is real renunciation. Although they themselves practice severe renunciation, the supreme form of renunciation, but they are giving us some leeway. Okay, use everything in service of Krishna, then you can have. But that's what we have to see ourselves. I mean, in the print, on the pretext of using everything in service of Krishna, am I just trying to get newer and newer models of iPhones and the laptops and the best and luxurious cars and the clothes and the watches? We have to see. If everything is God's energy, then why should anything be given? If God is good, then his energy is also good. Material things should not be used for one's own sense enjoyment. But they could be and should be used for the service of Krishna. So Srila Bhakti Siddhanta wanted to use the most modern printing presses. He wanted to invite worldly people to hear Krishna Katha in gorgeously built temples. And for their preaching, devotees should not hesitate to ride in the best conveyances, wear sewn cloth, or live amidst material opulence. So again, for their preaching, only preaching. Otherwise, no. But we have to see what's in our heart. I mean, that's, as I said, introspection we have to do. Where am I going? It was in this spirit that he had constructed the building at Baghbazar, and there displayed a theistic exhibition, a series of dioramas assembled from finely finished, painted and dressed clay dolls. Such dolls are a traditional art form in Bengal, but the staging of nearly 100 elaborate displays depicting the Vaishnava philosophy and the pastimes of Lord Krishna had never before been seen. The theistic exhibition created a sensation and thousands attended it daily. So even at that time, 1930s, he spent lots of money in presenting this theistic doll exhibition. Of course, there was no robotics at that time or AI, so he could only do with stationary dolls. Dolls, or we can say the figures. In that same year, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati had taken about 40 disciples on a parikrama all over India, a tour featuring many public lectures and Srila Bhaktisiddhanta's meetings with important men. By 1932, he had 3 presses in different parts of India, printing 6 journals in various Indian dialects. So, actually, when he was doing this theistic doll exhibition or theistic figures exhibition, and just depicting various pastimes of Krishna, just like Krishna lifting Govardhan, or Krishna killing Putna. So that he could use it as a means of preaching. And at that time, it so happened there was famine in India, in Bengal. And all these big political leaders, they were coming to Bhaktisiddhanta, Subhash Chandra Bose, Annie Besant, and other leaders. And they were asking Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj to give us some of your brahmacharis so we can do some social work. Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj told them, "Oh, my brahmacharis, they're good for nothing. They're very skinny. They don't have any strength. What good are they going to be for you?" And he sent them back. But he was continuing with this exhibition. So how powerful he was as a preacher. He could even say no to all these leaders. And then when he went on a parikrama all over India, so we can understand how expensive it must be. But he was ready to spend money for preaching. In Calcutta, a politician had asked Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati how he could possibly print his Nadia Prakash as a daily newspaper. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati had replied that it was not so amazing if one considered that in Calcutta alone, there were almost half a dozen ordinary daily newspapers, although Calcutta was but one city amongst all the cities of India. India was but one nation amongst many nations on the earth. And the earth was but an insignificant planet amidst all the other planets in the universe. This universe was one amongst universes so numerous that each was like a single mustard seed in a big bag of mustard seeds. And the entire material creation was only one small fraction of the creation of God. Nadia Prakash was not printing the news of Calcutta or the earth, but news from the unlimited spiritual sky, which is much greater than all the material worlds combined. So if the daily Calcutta newspapers could report limited earthly tidings, then small wonder that Nadia Prakash could appear daily. So how much material is there for Nadia Prakash? So he could print daily. In fact, a newspaper about the spiritual world could be printed every moment were there not a shortage of interested readers. Because so much is happening in the spiritual world. If in the Calcutta, just a small city, Calcutta, of course, from their consideration, Calcutta is a big city. But if you look at the whole creation, Calcutta is nothing. And this is what he was saying. If Calcutta can have 6 newspapers printing same news every day, Hardly any difference. So why can't we print the new happenings, which is happening every single moment in the spiritual world? Why can't we print that every? One of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta's publications was in English, The Harmonist, and it advertised a Vrindavan Parikrama of 1932. So it said, circumambulation of Sri Braj Mandal. His Divine Grace, Paramhansa, Sri Srimad Bhakti Siddhanta, Saraswati Goswami Maharaj, the spiritual head of the Madhva Gaudiya Vaishnava community, following Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, has been pleased to invite the cooperation of all persons of every nationality, irrespective of caste, creed, color, age, or sex, in the devotional function of circumambulation of the holy sphere of Braj, in the footsteps of the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna Chaitanya, who exhibited the Leela of performing the circumambulation of Sri Braj Mandal during the winter of 1514 AD. When Abhay had heard from the members of the Allahabad Gaudiya Math about the parikrama, he had been fully occupied with his local Prayag pharmacy business and traveling to secure new accounts. But he had calculated how he could join at least for a day or two, and he has fixed his mind on again obtaining the darshan of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati. Srila Prabhupada writes, I was not initiated at the time of parikrama, but I had very good admiration for these Gaudiya Math people. They were very kind to me, so I thought, what are these people doing in this parikrama? Let me go. So I met them at Kosi. The parikrama party traveled with efficient organization. An advance group bringing all the bedding and tents would go ahead to the next day's location, where they would make camp and set up the kitchen. Meanwhile, the main party, bearing the deity of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and accompanied by kirtan singers, would visit the places of Lord Krishna's pastimes and in the evening arrive in the camp. So, yes, going with that tradition, ISKCON does this parikrama every year, Braj Chaurasi Kos Parikrama, month of Kartik, the whole month of Kartik. So, Krishna's mercy, I had attended once, long time back, 1999, so 25 years ago. Wow. So, whole month. So, we go from one place to another, and as it is said, the advance party, the trucks, and all the labor would be there. They would take our stuff from point A to point B, set up the tents and kitchen, and prashadam would be ready, and we go walking from point A to point B, and in between any places of importance we cross, there will be katha, kirtan. It was wonderful actually. I wish I could do it again. So whole month of Kartik it went on, and very nicely organized. And all the spots. In the beginning, first day only, we get the whole booklet where we are going to visit on what day and what are the major places of pastimes, what pastimes happened. So, so yes, it's austerity also, because it's not that one gets very luxurious facilities. It's we have to stay in the tent, and month of Kartik it gets cold in Vrindavan and Braj. But still, with the devotees, so many devotees, about I think 500 devotees were there at that time. It was fun. And same thing ISKCON does for Navdeep also. Before Gaur Purnima, the 9 days they take out the parikrama. Navdeep parikrama is so huge that they have to separate, like Hindi speaking group separate, Bengali group separate, English separate, Russian devotees separate group. So they could preach in that language for that particular group, and they would go cover different places on every day, but every parikrama party would go to a different path. But last day, they would all meet together at Yog Peeth and then the huge Sankirtan all the way to ISKCON temple. So again, yes, it is austerity, but it's amazing experience. And so many devotees are there to make preparations, whether it is cooking, whether it is cleaning and setting up tents and any medical emergencies. So many, it's a big challenge actually. And like in Kartik in Vrindavan, so ISKCON is not the only one that is doing parikrama. There's so many other parties, other groups also. And we meet them on the way in different places. It's a different mood at that time. The camp was divided into sections and arranged in a semicircle, and pilgrims were assigned to a particular section for the night. In the center were the quarters of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta and the deity of Lord Chaitanya, and close by the tents of the sannyasis. There were separate camps for ladies and men, married couples. Did not, there were separate camps for ladies and men. Married couples did not stay together. There was also a volunteer corps of guards who stayed up all night patrolling the area. At night, the camp, with its hundreds of tents with gas lights and campfires, resembled a small town, and local people would come to see, astonished at the arrangements. In the evening, everyone would gather to hear a discourse by Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. The pilgrims would rise early each morning and chant Hare Krishna together. Then, carrying the deity of Lord Chaitanya, they would set out in procession. Kirtan groups, the police band, because there could be people trying to create some nuisance. The lead horse, the flag bearers, and all the pilgrims. They traveled to the holy places, the birthplace of Lord Krishna, the place where Lord Krishna slew Kansa, the Adikeshav temple, Radha Kund, Shyam Kund, and many others. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati's massive pilgrimage had been rolling on with great success when he met with serious opposition. The local temple proprietors in Vrindavan objected to Srila Bhaktisiddhanta's awarding the sacred Brahminical thread to devotees not born in the family of Brahmins. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta, throughout his lectures and writings, had repeatedly proven from the Vedic scriptures that one is a Brahman not by birth but by qualities. He often cited a verse from Sanatana Goswami's Haribhakti Vilas, stating that just as base metal, when mixed with mercury, can become gold, so an ordinary man can become a Brahman if initiated by a bona fide spiritual master. He also often cited a verse from Srimad Bhagavatam in which the great sage Narada tells King Yudhishthira that if one is born in the family of a Shudra but acts as a Brahman, he has to be accepted as a Brahman. And if one is born in the family of a Brahman but acts as a Shudra, he is to be considered a Shudra. Because the prime method of spiritual advancement in the age of Kali is chanting of the holy name of God. Any person who chants Hare Krishna should be recognized as a saintly person. When the local Pandits approached Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati for discussion, they questioned his leniency in giving initiation and is awarding the Brahminical thread and sannyas dress to persons of lower castes. Because of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati's scholarly, forceful presentation, the Pandits seemed satisfied by the discussion. But when the Parikrama party arrived at Vrindavan, 7 main temples, which had been erected by the immediate followers of Lord Chaitanya, the party found the doors closed. So 7 main temples we should know of Vrindavan. Madan Mohan Ji, Govind Dev Ji, Radha Raman, then Banki Bihari, Radha Shyam Sundar. So 5, I'm missing 2. Oh, they're not coming to my mind. So 7 main temples are there, but there are many other temples also. That was, obviously, that was before ISKCON had its own temple there. But the Parikrama party led by Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati continued in good spirits despite the animosity, and on October 28th, the party arrived at Kosi, the site of the treasury of Krishna's father, King Nanda. Abhay arrived in Mathura by train from Allahabad and approached Kosi by rickshaw. The countryside was full of charm for Abhay. Instead of factories and large buildings, there were mostly forests, and aside from the main paved road on which he traveled, there were only dirt roads and soft, sandy lanes. Of course, now it is long gone. It's all roads, highways, and buildings. There were hardly any forest left in Vrindavan. As a Vaishnava, Abhay felt sensations an ordinary man could not. Now and then he sighted a peacock in the field, its exotic plumage proclaiming the glories of Vrindavan and Krishna. Even a non-devotee, however, could appreciate the many varieties of birds, their interesting cries and songs filling the air. Occasionally, a tree would be filled with madly chirping sparrows, making their urgent twilight clamor before resting for the night. Even one unaware of the special significance of Vrindavan could feel a relief of mind in this simply countryside where people build fires from cow manure, fuel, and cook their evening meals in the open, their fires adding rich, natural smells to the indefinable mixture which was the order of the earth. There were many gnarled old trees and colorful stretches of flower bushes of bright violet camellia trees abloom with delicate white parijat blossoms and big yellow kadamba flowers, rarely seen outside Vrindavan. On the road, there was lively horse-drawn Tanga traffic. The month of Kartik, October, November, was one of the several times of the year that drew many pilgrims to Vrindavan. The one-horse tangas carried large families, some coming from hundreds of miles away. Larger bands of pilgrims, grouped by village, walked together. The women dressed in bright-colored saris, brown-skinned men and women, sometimes singing bhajans, carrying but a few simple possessions as they headed for the town of thousands of temple, Vrindavan. So, yes, Vrindavan has thousands of temples, at least 5,000. 7 are main temples, but there are so many temples there. And there were businessmen like Abhay dressed more formally coming from his city, maybe to spend the weekend. Most of them had at least some semblance of a religious motive to see Krishna in the temple, to bathe in the holy Yamuna river, to revisit the sites where Lord Krishna had performed his pastimes, such as the lifting of Govardhan Hill, the killing of the Keshi demon, or the dancing in the evening with the gopis. So yes, the pilgrims come and spend days in Vrindavan in the month of Kartik, and they get purified. There's so much of bhakti flowing in Vrindavan, and especially in Kartik. Abhay was sensitive to the atmosphere of Vrindavan, and he noted the activity along the road. But more than that, he cherished with anticipation the fulfillment of his journey. His meeting again after a long separation, the saintly person he had always thought of within himself, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati, who had spoken to him in Calcutta and had convinced him of Lord Chaitanya's mission to preach Krishna consciousness. Abhay would soon see him again, and this purpose filled his mind. Upon reaching the lantern illuminated camp of the Gaudiya Mutt and inquiring at the registration post, he was allowed to join the Parikrama village. He was assigned to a tent of Grihastha men and was offered prasadam. People were friendly and in good spirits, and Abhay talked of his activities with the mutt members in Calcutta and Allahabad. Then there was a gathering. A sannyasi was making an announcement. This evening, he said, there would be a scheduled visit to a nearby temple to see the deity of Sheshashai Vishnu. Some of the pilgrims cheered, Hari Bol, Hare Krishna. The sannyasi also announced that His Divine Grace Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur would speak that evening for the last time and would be leaving the parikrama party the next day. So there was a choice of going on the parikrama or staying for the lecture. Srila Prabhupada said, thought. So I met them in Kosi, and Keshav Maharaj was informing that Srila Bhaktisiddhanta is going to Mathura tomorrow morning and he will speak Harikatha this evening. Anyone who wants to may remain, or otherwise they may go to see Sheshashai Vishnu. So at that time, I think only 10 or 12 men remained. Sridhar Maharaj was one of them. And I thought it wise, what can I see at this Sheshashai? Let me hear what Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati will speak. Let me hear. When Abhay arrived, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta was already speaking. He sat his back erect, a shawl around his shoulders, not speaking like a professional lecturer, giving a scheduled performance, but addressing a small gathering in his room. At last, Abhay was in his presence again. Abhay marveled to see and hear him, and this unique soul possessed of Krishna Katha, speaking uninterruptedly about Krishna in his deep, low voice, in ecstasy and deep knowledge. Abhay sat and heard with rapt attention. So I guess we can stop here. See anybody has any questions or comments? Okay, you all have a safe and wonderful day. Hare Krishna. Jai Srila.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.